Hi guys, welcome to Fun Learning. And in this video, we are going to discuss about the elbow joint. With no more delay, let's get started. First, the type of the elbow joint, nothing but the synovial. Subtype, it is an inch variety. In order to remember that the elbow joint is an inch variety, just remember He, H-E. H stands for inch variety, whereas E stands for the elbow joint. Third point, bones forming the joint, the lower end of the humerus and upper end of the radius and ulna articulate with each other to form the elbow joint. Fourth point, the articular surface. I am dividing the articular surface into 2 points. Humero-ulnar part and the humero-radial part. Humero-ulnar part, nothing but the trochlea of the humerus articulate with the trochlear notch of the ulna, whereas in the humero-radial part, the capitulum of the humerus articulate with the head of the radius. I hope till there is no doubt. Now, let us move with the ligaments of the elbow joint. In order to remember the ligaments of the elbow joint, just remember the mnemonic CURE. C-U-R-E. Okay, in that C stands for the capsular ligament. Capsular ligament is the most common ligament that is present in almost all the joint. We have studied previously two joints. One is one is the shoulder joint and another is the knee joint. In both, we have discussed about the capsular ligament. So, capsular ligament is nothing but a ligament that surrounds the articular surface. U stands for the ulnar collateral ligament. R stands for the radial collateral ligament, whereas E is nothing but the elbow joint. So, now with no more delay, let us study the attachment of the capsular ligament in detail. So, first, I am dividing the attachment as usual into above and below. I hope so you can see above and below. So above, nothing but we are going to discuss about the humerus. Below, we will discuss about the radius and the ulna. So above, it is attached to the three non-articular fossa, namely, so above we have three fossa that is present in the lower end of the humerus, nothing but the radial fossa, coronoid fossa and the olecranon fossa, as well as it is attached to the front of the medial and the lateral epicondyle. Okay, so below attachment I am dividing into three parts: medial part, lateral part and the posterior part. So medially it is attached to the coronoid and the olecranon process of ulna. Just remember, we have radial fossa, coronoid fossa and olecranon fossa. In that coronoid process and the olecranon process are present in the ulna. So the capsular ligament is attached medially to the coronoid process and the olecranon process of ulna. Laterally, it is not directly attached to the head of the radius. It is attached to the annular ligament which encircle the head of the radius. Posteriorly, dividing into one set of fiber, another set of fiber, one set of fiber. Posteriorly, we have one fossa in the humerus that is present in the lower end of the humerus. It is nothing but the olecranon fossa. It is attached to the margin of the olecranon fossa and to the side of the olecranon of ulna. Nothing but olecranon process of ulna. Another set, it extends between the lateral epicondyle and the posterior border of the radial notch of the ulna, nothing but a notch, radial notch that is present on the lateral aspect of the ulna. Now let us move on to the ulnar collateral ligament. I hope so you can see this diagram. So ulnar collateral ligament is nothing but a ligament that is triangular in shape, that is extend from the medial epicondyle of the humerus to the ulna. So medially we have medial epicondyle of the humerus to the ulna. So we have anterior band, posterior band and a transverse band. Okay, namely we have three band. So anterior band, it is attached to the medial epicondyle of the humerus to the medial border of the coronoid process. So this is the anterior band. It extends from the medial epicondyle of the humerus to the coronoid process of ulna. Posterior band, same medial epicondyle of the humerus to the medial side of the olecranon process of ulna. Transverse band, it's nothing but a band that connects the anterior and the posterior band of the ulnar collateral ligament. So transverse band is nothing but a band that connects the anterior and the posterior band of the radial ulnar collateral ligament. Now let us discuss about the radial collateral ligament in detail. I guess you can see radial collateral ligament. This is a diagram. The upper end is attached to the lateral epicondyle of the humerus. This is the lateral epicondyle of the humerus. Below it is attached to the annular ligament of the superior radioulnar joint at its lower end. So this rectangle in shape. So this is nothing but the annular ligament of the superior radioulnar joint. Now with no more delay, let's go with the relation of the elbow joint in detail. Relations of elbow joint. Anteriorly, I have written 3B. I'll say what are those 3B stands for. Posteriorly, I have made a mnemonic tap. In that, T stands for triceps, A stands for anconus muscle, P nothing but the posterior relation. Okay, va? Medially, it is a common origin of the superficial flexor as well as the ulnar nerve. Laterally, it is a common origin of the extensor tendon of forearm and the radial nerve. Very easy. Medially, we have ulnar nerve as well as common origin of superficial flexor. Laterally, we have radial nerve as well as the common origin of the extensor of forearm. So, posteriorly, remember the mnemonic tap. T stands for triceps, A stands for anconus muscle. Now, anteriorly, I said we have 3B. In that, these are the 3B. 1B stands for the brachialis muscle. Another B stands for the biceps brachii muscle. Whereas the third B stands for the brachial artery. Now, let us discuss about the bursa that is present around the elbow joint in detail. In order to remember the mnemonic that is present, in order to remember the bursa that is present around the elbow joint, you should remember the mnemonic ROB, R-O-B. In that, O stands for olecranon bursa. Okay, well, that olecranon bursa is further divided into two. One subcutaneous and another one is subtendinous. Nothing but the bursa that is present below the skin, the bursa that is present below the tendon. So, in order to remember the bursa, you should remember the mnemonic ROB. In that, O stands for olecranon bursa. This olecranon bursa in turn divided into two subcutaneous and subtendinous olecranon bursa. This B and R together stands for bicipito-radial bursa. Okay, bicipito-radial bursa. Now we'll discuss about the nerve supply of the elbow joint in detail. I hope so. You can see the mnemonic M-RAM. In that, M stands for musculocutaneous nerve, R stands for radial nerve, U stands for ulnar nerve, and M stands for the median nerve. So we'll discuss about the movements of the elbow joint in detail. Next, we'll discuss about the blood supply of elbow joint in detail. So first, we'll go for the movements. As usual, I hope you can see there are only two movements that take place in elbow joint. One is flexion and another movement is namely extension. Okay, so two muscles, nothing but the brachioradialis, the brachialis, and the biceps brachii muscle, as well as the superficial flexors have limited role. Just remember SB. In that, S stands for superficial flexors. Superficial flexors have only a limited role, but three muscles have very important role. Namely, one is brachioradialis, brachialis, and the biceps brachii muscle. Now, extension. Extension, we have already studied in the relation triceps anconus muscle and the extensor tendon of forearm. Same, triceps anconus muscle and the superficial extensors have the limited role. Now let us discuss about the blood supply of the elbow joint. Blood supply is not easy as we think. You have to discuss about the anastomosis that are involved in supplying the elbow joint in detail. Now let us discuss about the blood supply of the elbow joint, arteries taking part in anastomosis. In this topic, we are going to study 4 subheading. Namely, first subheading is nothing but in front of lateral epicondyle, behind the lateral epicondyle, namely in front of medial epicondyle and behind medial epicondyle. Okay, in each subheading, we'll further divide into two parts, proximal part, distal part. In each subheading, proximal distal, proximal distal, proximal distal, proximal distal. Okay, now before start the arteries that is taking part in anastomosis, you should know some points related to that. Okay, in that proximal will discuss about the branches of brachial artery. Whereas distal, the artery involved is nothing but the branches of the radial artery as well as the branches of the ulnar artery. And you should also know what is collateral, what is recurrent. Just remember, collateral blood flow will be from up to down. Whereas recurrent, the exactly ulta of it, nothing but the blood supply is from down to up. Okay, so now you should know what are the branches of the brachial artery. So brachial artery, you just remember the mnemonic, please stand in row. Okay, please stand in row. In that, P stands for profunda brachii artery. S stands for superior ulnar collateral artery. I stands for inferior ulnar collateral artery, and R is nothing but the terminal branches of the brachial artery, which is nothing but the radial artery as well as the ulnar artery. Okay, now let us study about the name of the artery. Okay, now let us discuss about the artery's name. First, we are going to discuss the subheading, namely in front of lateral epicondyle. First, we'll discuss proximal part. Later, we'll discuss about the distal part. So, proximal part, the artery involved is nothing but the radial collateral branch of profunda brachii artery. I already said what are the branches of the brachial artery. Please stand in row. In that, this profunda brachii artery further divided into MR. In that, M stands for middle collateral artery, R stands for radial collateral artery. So, first in front of lateral epicondyle, proximal part, the artery involved is radial collateral branch of profunda brachii artery. Collateral, blood flow from up to down. So, distal part, I already said those are the branches that are arises from the radial artery and the ulnar artery. Here, it is nothing but the radial recurrent branch of radial artery. Okay, now we'll discuss about behind the lateral epicondyle. Behind the lateral epicondyle, as it divided into proximal part and the distal part. Proximal part, I said MR. In that, M middle collateral branch of profunda brachii artery. R previously will said. So distal part is nothing but the interosseous recurrent branch of common interosseous artery. So it's nothing but the branches from the common interosseous artery, which in turn a branch of ulnar artery. Okay, otherwise remember behind the lateral epicondyle, B, I, interosseous recurrent branch of common interosseous artery, M, middle collateral branch of profunda brachii artery. Now, in front of medial epicondyle, we'll again further divide into proximal part and distal part. So, proximal part, nothing but the anterior division of inferior ulnar collateral artery. So, in front, inferior. Distal part, anterior ulnar recurrent artery. So, behind medial epicondyle, very easy is in front and behind only. So, if you remember the proximal part and the distal part in the in front of medial epicondyle, you can easily correlate with the proximal part and the distal part of the behind medial epicondyle. See, proximally we will study about anterior division of the inferior ulnar collateral artery. One artery is missing, nothing but the superior ulnar collateral artery. So next, distally we study about the anterior ulnar recurrent artery. Distal part is posterior ulnar recurrent artery. Okay, now let us study about the carrying angle in detail. So you can try this at home. When you flex your forearm, when you extend your forearm, the arm and the forearm will not usually lie in the same line. Instead, they make an angle. The forearm makes an angle with the arm, and that angle is said to be the carrying angle. Initially, it is more as in the case of female because of wider pelvis when compared to male. So, why this carrying angle occurs? This is because we have two flange in trochlea, namely medial flange and the lateral flange. The medial flange is larger as well as it projects downwards for 6 mm than the lateral flange. Because of this, we have carrying angle. Okay, so the medial flange of trochlea is larger, project downwards for about 6 mm than the lateral flange. Angle is about 10 to 15 degrees Celsius. Thus, in the supinated position, the carrying angle is about 165 degree to 170 degree open laterally. So, we have two clinical applications related to the carrying angle. One is cubitus valgus, another is cubitus valgus. In cubitus valgus, your forearm will be laterally deviated. Because of this, the carrying angle increases. Okay, in cubitus valgus, just remember L. Your forearm will be laterally deviated. And in cubitus valgus, your forearm will be medially deviated. That's all. Okay, now we'll discuss about the clinical application of elbow joint in detail. So first clinical application is nothing but a supracondylar fracture of humerus. With the name, we can easily tell that it is a transverse fracture of the humerus above the level of epicondyle. Hence the name supracondylar, above the epicondyle. It is a transverse fracture of the humerus above the level of epicondyle. Brachial artery, median as well as the ulnar nerve are prone to injury in the case of supracondylar fracture of humerus. Next will be side swipe injury. Usually our parents used to say this in our childhood, don't put your hand outside either in the window of the car or the bus. Because this fracture occurs when an elbow is projecting from the car or the bus window. Get injured. And here, fracture of either olecranon process or the radius or ulnar take place. Next will be the eversion of the medial epicondyle. This is common in the children as well as the young adults. Ulnar collateral ligament is tensed and that pulls your medial epicondyle down. Main reason is that non-fusion of epiphysis for the medial epicondyle until the age of 20 to 22. Because of this type of fracture is common in children as well as the young adults. With this, I am completing the elbow joint. I hope you found this video useful. If you want to give any suggestion, the way I take your suggestion are mostly welcome. You can comment me in the comment box. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. Stay happy, stay positive and stay safe. Thank you. Thanks for watching.